Once again, it's time for the living word. And as well as the music, in this program, the story of a famous hymn, one that Winston Churchill included among his 3 favorites. Can you guess what hymn it is? While you're thinking about it, here's the Salvation Army Band playing another favorite hymn tune with which we associate Henry Francis Light's majestic words, "Praise my soul, the King of Heaven." The Psalms of Scripture are full of guidance for us all. Let me read to you a few verses from the 37th Psalm. "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with his hand. The salvation of the righteous is of the Lord. He is their strength in the time of trouble. And the Lord shall help them. He shall deliver them from the wicked, and save them because they trust in him." In these verses, we have a picture of God that I'm sure was in the mind of the author of the feature hymn of this program. Do you know now what it is? Well, we won't keep the secret any longer. Here's the familiar melody echoing for us in the lovely tones of the violin. Yes, Jesus, lover of my soul, was one of the three favorites chosen by Winston Churchill. And small wonder. The stirring words came flooding into my mind as the violinist played that beautiful arrangement. Jesus, lover of my soul, let me to thy bosom fly, while the nearer waters roll, while the tempest still is high. Many rank this hymn among the finest written in the English language. The composer was Charles Wesley, and perhaps it was natural for a man of his reputation to write such a song of praise. What is so well expressed in this hymn is man's hunger for a goodness in living. In the singing, we're made aware of our own shortcomings. We realize that we are only men, and we depend on God. What inspires a man to write a special hymn? Well, Charles Wesley loved to take long walks in the country. He found comfort in nature. He was very interested in birds. One day, Wesley, while strolling through the woods, caught sight of a golden yellow linnet as it flew excitedly from tree to tree. Suddenly the bird glided straight toward him. It perched on a branch just a few inches from the great preacher's hand. Then there was ominous shadow, and Wesley knew that another pair of wings was on the scene. A large hawk. The hawk circled, dropping lower, until even the cruel curve of its beak was visible against the sky. The small linnet fluffed out its feathers. Its tiny body cowered. Wesley carefully extended his hand as if to shield it. The shadow of his hand fell over the bird like a protecting wing. Soon the hawk soared and flew away. Wesley watched the linnet until the yellow bird gave out with a burst of song, rose, and winged its way deep into the woods. Just listen to these lines from his hymn. Cover my defenseless head with the shadow of thy wing. And what about the picture which hung in a prominent place in Wesley's home? It was probably visible from the desk where Wesley worked. Most of you have seen one like it. It pictured a great storm at sea. A sailing vessel was caught suspended, fighting the crest of a mountainous wave. The subject is painted so well, you can feel the violence of the waters and wind. Keeping this favorite painting of Wesley's in mind, listen to these lines. Hide me, O my Savior, hide, till the storm of life is past. Safe into the haven guide, oh, receive my soul at last. But there's a much more interesting storm connected with the writing of this hymn, a storm of family disagreement. Charles Wesley's brother, John, had a strong will and a strong personality. And John Wesley was not happy with his brother's hymn at all. He felt that the words dared to be far too familiar with God. He was determined that the words shouldn't be published. So the manuscript was put away in a trunk, never to be sung, but only to collect dust. It was 9 years after the composer's death before the manuscript got to the publisher. It's a good thing it finally did, because great hymns affect people's lives, one life in particular. An American youth, Wilson Randolph. Here's a boy who grew up in a fine Christian home with every advantage. Yet in his early 20s, he drifted into a life of crime. In Newark, New Jersey, the police were watching him. One false move and a prison term was inevitable. But before this happened, something else did. The boy was out one night, up to no good, when he passed a church. He couldn't help hearing the choir inside. As he listened, his lips began to move instinctively, phrasing the words sung by those distant voices. He knew the hymn. He'd sung it all through childhood. Strangely moved by this experience, by loneliness, shame, and that hunger we all sense, the hunger for a goodness in living, the boy finally came to the line, "Oh, receive my soul at last." Within 1 month's time, Wilson Randolph was attending a theological college. He became a minister of the Methodist Episcopal Church, in which he served until the day he died. 400 years ago, Dean Samuel Crossman of Bristol said, "A song may find him whom a sermon passes by." A song found Wilson Randolph. A song like "Jesus, lover of my soul," finds many. Let me sing the final verse for you. Plenteous grace with thee is found, grace to cover all my sin. Let the healing streams abound, make and keep me pure within. Thou of life the fountain art, freely let me take of thee. Spring thou up within my heart, rise to all eternity. Be sure and join us again, won't you, when we will seek to learn more of the living Word and of Him who is, in very truth, the living Word. What do you really know about the world's bestseller? This free Bible correspondence course is yours just for the asking. Simply send a letter or postcard to The Living Word, care of this station. Do it today. Do it now.